Hey, I'm Manuel Dokur, and gonna give a quick rundown on how I normally work with diverse people, people with different backgrounds, different interests, etc. Normally, it just starts out with getting kind of to know the person you're talking to. So, first, kind of more casual, chill, to not really like prod much. If the event that someone finds something might be like too personal to talk about, and then so kind of just simple, hey, how's it going? If it's someone I'm not familiar with. If it's someone more familiar, then I don't need to kind of do an introduction, but kind of just get to know people's names and then slowly figure out their background, but more in a general stage. Like, I start with people finding out like interests, and then after like interests, kind of like hobbies. So, like, for example, my interests would be in like exercising, and then I enjoy like cars, as well as like esports stuff, and also try and like figure out the other person's interests and then see how I can relate to them. And then once I'm able to like relate, that's when we can get into like higher level stuff, because once we have that like initial connection, it ends up becoming a lot easier to build more in-depth conversation, or if uh, something was to become a little bit more what some might see as controversial points. So that's where it comes like, once you are able to initially build a solid foundation with a person, then you can get into more in-depth uh, commentary with them. So like, let's say on the topic of politics, for example. So like, clearly or definitely there's a big divide between like conservative politics and more liberal politics, and then without having to necessarily like attack the person, or maybe getting like emotionally involved when you're saying the points, to more kind of ask questions, but like not like passive aggressive questions, more like general questions for things that you aren't too sure about, and then actually looking for like information uh, for these points. So like, let's say if there was someone who, or we'll bring it back down to a little simpler point. So let's say there's a discussion in a company about uh, we want to do, let's say we want to clean this way for like a cleaning company. We want to do the cleaning this way with these steps, and this is our routine. And then let's say a new employee was like, oh, I think it'd be more efficient if we were to do it this way. We could save time while still being able to like clean with like the quality that we advertise, and being able to, so like a more veteran employee might look at the new employee as like, no, we don't, why would we do that, this is what works. But then the new employee could look at and be like, they could show that they understand how the process works, and then they can also showcase how their suggestion would could potentially improve efficiency while maintaining the level of quality that the company wants to provide to the customers of their cleaning service. And so that's one way that, so if that employee built the initial foundation with like the connection between the new employee and then the veteran employee, and then once the connection is built, then they can start kind of discussing more about like bigger changes, regardless of the tenure of a newer employee compared to a long tenured employee. And yeah, so I think that it gets a lot about being able to get to know the people from their background, and then once the actual like bond and connection is formed between them, that's when the communication can arise about different suggestions on how different company like procedures and could be gone. And so that way that like both people with their what they're used to, and then what new suggestions are, so that no one is like, everyone kind of understands that's like, oh, they're not necessarily like attacking or saying that this is bad. They're just saying that like, this is how things could like be improved upon. And yeah, so those are my thoughts on intercultural and interpersonal like interpersonal relationships can be built upon, and then how the discussion can lead from there. But thank you. I'm Manuel Dokur again, and yeah.